What's going on, everyone? We are live for another late night live edit. Let's see if I can pop up this little logo. There we go. All right, so tonight I'm gonna retouch a photo that I took of Juliet the other day in the studio. She came in. She wanted to take some portraits with her camera. She's an amazing photographer. Go follow her on Instagram. Take a look at her work. Very, very cool stuff. So it was a little bit intimidating having another creative come in who's really good at lighting and really knows her craft, and then to come in and just kind of riff and make things up as we go. So the first couple shots that I took of her, I was trying out a new backdrop that I've been trying to work on, and it was the backdrop that really was killing it, and it was taking up too much light, and I just didn't. It felt like 1980s Purple Rain. So I just wasn't feeling it, and it kind of like started off real rocky, and we both, kind of agreed that photographers need to kind of just warm up, just like athletes do, right? So we need to kind of get in the groove, and I always joke when people get in front of the camera and they say, like, I say, hold on, let me remember how to use this thing. So anyway, she was awesome. Very, it was a great collaboration. So we kind of worked through. I went through, out of the 293 photos that I took, 43 of them I really, really liked. And it ranged from kind of these creative shots where I used these two strip box with gridded strip boxes, and then two V flats on the foreground here that kind of bounced back to highlight her face while giving her this very dramatic rim light here. And then camera right, I actually had a little deep 20-inch kind of beauty dish, a little bit of a Zeppelin. This one came out really cool because it has more of a painterly kind of feel to it. So I really like that one. And this is almost the exact same lighting, but without the back rim lights firing off too crazy. And then this is the same shot, but with the foreground light a little bit brighter. Kind of a cool effect. Very shallow depth of field, 1.8. This is my 85 millimeter. I basically shot with that the entire time. Maybe a few of them with the 35 and the 50. Eyes are tack sharp in here. But what I didn't like about this was the catch light in here. It kind of has this weird, almost like a T, looks like the Tesla logo in her eyes. Kind of has a cat look. I'm sure you could work around this in Photoshop and kind of dim that down a little bit and make it so it's not so dramatic, but it's better just to do it in person and not really rely on that in post. And the same thing happened here. So this was a light test for the photo series that I did with the teachers. She helped me kind of, test this out. And then once I got into post, I loved it in camera. And then I got into post with these photos and I realized that the catch light was a little too dramatic. So I wound up moving, for those other ones, I wound up moving this V flat over to the right a little bit more. So the catch light was a little bit more over here, lowering it down some and then eliminating it on this side altogether. Catch lights are really just something that photographers notice, but it is important because, the eyes, if you're going to focus on the eyes and everything's going to be with the eyes, then the catch lights should look good. So we tried some other ones, with some hot lights as props, kind of floating around her, kind of showcasing her as a photographer. These ones are pretty cool. I like these. I try to throttle retouching some of these because I don't want to get them done too fast and then share them all at once. I'd like to kind of space out what I'm sharing on social media, so it's a little bit of a range and people don't get tired of seeing the same thing. And I don't know if that's a good method because we've been stuck at like under 5,000 followers on Instagram forever. Speaking of which, you guys should follow us on Instagram at Spectacle Photo. If you don't mind, I do follow back, so I'd love to take a look at your work as well. All right, so I think what I'm going to do, let me know if you guys see a photo that you guys think I should retouch. I know which one I want to retouch. It's going to be a little bit of a difficult one because the background it didn't extend wide enough, which I knew I could kind of work on there. I kind of like this one too, where she's kind of smushing the camera here. It's kind of cool. These are color corrected. Let me show you what I did shoot these really underexposed. I was kind of going for that soft look and wasn't really, I was more focused on the subject and not really getting it too. I'd rather it underexposed than overexposed. These were the ones that kind of felt like 1980s to me. I wasn't really feeling this backdrop for this specific shot. I do want to get in there. These are the click prop backdrops. And I have this awesome purple one, but I just haven't been able to. When I tested it out with this look, it just felt way too 80s for me. So let's see. I think I'm going to go back to this table one because I really like the warm tones in here. Let's see. That one's pretty good. I guess for this one, I could have raised the rim light camera left up just a little bit to eliminate this cutoff of this light right here. And that's actually being caused by her shoulder casting that shadow right to here. All right, let's see. Yeah, let me go. I'm going to go ahead and work on that one. Let me know if you guys have any questions, comments. I do see them on the screen when they pop up. So, all right, let's get to work on this. I'm going to make this full screen. How's the audio sound? I haven't checked it. I'm kind of going in blind with this one. Caleb, you want to hop on there and see what I sound like?
What?
What?
What you said to me? Where are you?
Facebook, my page, and also our Spectacle page.
I can't find the internet.
Oh yeah.
Hang on. I'm going up.
All right, so I'm gonna reset this one. I made a virtual copy. I want to show you guys how underexposed this one actually was. You probably shouldn't do this. You should probably work on your lighting a little bit more and your exposure. I think that one was a little too much, but also, if you're confident with your skills in Photoshop, then you should fix it in person before you rely on fixing it in post. I was really focused on the props here and really focused on getting like laying it out, that I didn't really pay attention too much on the exposure. I also think the back of my camera is way too bright. So I have to make a couple of those adjustments to make sure that I'm not fully underexposing it. Perfect. All right, you can actually see here where the catch light or the rim light here is actually a little bit better. There's a little bit of a shadow from her hair, but it's a lot more even. So I guess what you could do, that might look weird. I'm going to try that. So I'm going to select both of these and I am going to open them, edit in Photoshop, open as layers. And let those load up. All right, what that's going to do is it's actually going to open it up in Photoshop and in layers. So I'll have both those photos loaded in, one on top of the other, and ready to go. All right, so what I was thinking was, since instead of going in and fully smoothing out her skin, since she's pretty close to this one, and this is the version that I want because I liked her hand up. I'm going to see if I can use part of her. I'm going to see if I can use her face here to help with that highlight. I don't know if it's going to work, but let's give it a try. So a good thing to do when you're aligning photos is if you change this to difference, you can actually see where you're lining up different. What's so funny?
Just that it looks like you're giving yourself likes.
It looks like I'm giving myself likes. Oh, because you're liking it. Yes, I'm on there giving. Yes. All right. So the shadows are a little bit off on this, but I'm not going to use the whole thing. So what I want to do is go in with a brush and about 25% opacity. And I'm going to start, feathered brush. Make sure it's a feathered brush. Start getting rid of some of this because we just want the side of the cheek that had that giant shadow down at the bottom. This may not work, guys. I'm not too sure if I like this at all so far. Hold on. I don't want to give up just yet. Looks like her cheek's swollen now. And actually, it's too far in. Hold on. I don't know. That is not a good idea. Okay, we're gonna do this the other way. I don't want to fully eliminate this because it's gonna give a little bit of her contouring. It's actually part of her makeup here. You could tell on the right where there isn't a shadow. There's just a little bit here, but then it resets down here, which is kind of what's making it look like it has this hard shadow there. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do, which is what I always do, is go through and just remove all the big stuff before I go into frequency separation. This just makes it easier because I have it all right here and I can eliminate some of it without having to do the texture and the layer, and it's not going to look too fake. Again, I don't want to go too crazy because the frequency separation is going to help me tone a lot of this down. All right. Good. Again, let me know if you guys have any questions. So now I'm going to go over to the Retouch Academy panel, and I'm going to do the frequency separation via Gaussian blur. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my magic eyes and wait for that green bar to load. Keep on loading. All right, almost there. And boom. All right, so Magic Eyes is loaded in. And now I'm going to do a dodge and burn via curves through the Retouch Academy and delete that. Now, I know for a fact that I don't use any of these tools the way that the people who made this plugin use them at all. Like, they are masters at this and they have this whole process, and there's tons of classes that you can take on this plugin. And it's amazing. I am not high-end retoucher, but this retouching works for me, and I like the way it looks. So anyone cringing over this, I don't really care because the output looks great for me. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start color correct or fixing some of these tones, a little bit of circle under the eyes. So I'm going to take a brush with 25% and sample some of the lighter skin tones here and just go over that just a little bit. Kind of blend some of that. And then right here, same thing, sample the lighter skin tones and bring them right in here. That might be a little much. You don't want to go too crazy on this because if you do it too much, their eyes will start to look puffy. That's too far. Let's go 5% opacity. I really want this to pop. And I know the last ones that I've done have kind of went with a little bit of a painterly look. That is the lighting that I'm going for and kind of the overall feel for it. So I might mimic some of that. Now what I'm going to do is take my lasso tool with 20% or 20 pixel feather. I'm going to select some of this and I'm going to go filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And this is just going to pull some of the tones together and get rid of some of the blotchiness from the skin. Still got a little bit of a shadow here, so I'm going to make sure that I address that. I just want to smooth some of this out. That painted look. Make sure you do the hands too, guys. Don't forget about the hands. Most people just focus on the face, but if there's any skin showing, make sure that you retouch it. All right. Let me get some more of this. I'm going to use my clone tool, 10%, sample right here. And I'm just going to try to eliminate some of this shadow right here. Great. All right. Now we want to smooth out some of the texture layer. Just going to go in, sample over here on a little bit of a smoother spot and just 10% opacity on my brush. Smooth this out just a little bit. We're not going for porcelain doll look here. Texture is good. Everyone has it. So we don't want her to look fake. I just want to take away the things that my 36 megapixel camera enhances and magnifies at this size. And then also if when you've got lighting that's kind of dramatic, it shoots some shadows over and enhances all those things. So we just want to tone it down. Great. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go and create a gradient map layer. And I'm going to bring that all the way up to the top. And you want to make sure all your color correcting is at the top of all your adjustment layers, because what you don't want is for your magic eyes or your dodge and burn to be above your color correcting, and then your dodge and burn and highlights and shadows are going to be different colors because they're underneath it. Now I created these maps for this effect. So this gradient map, as you can see down here, it has 100% black here and then 100% white over here. And in between, I've got 13% here, 13%, 25%, and then we've got 50% here, and it goes over in increments. And you can actually see when I click on these, the location is at 50. And if I go into that value, you'll see that the value is 50%. And what this allows me to do is if I change this layer to only affect the the highlights and shadows, I'll change it to luminosity. And then when I go back into there, what I can do is I can move my highlights and shadows to the left and right. And this is going to give me kind of a 3D effect. You could see it start to pop up in the highlights. Now, what you don't want to do is go too crazy, because you're going to start to get some of this artifacting and texture that you really don't want. So you want this to be able to be a smooth transition between that, right? And you can bring the highlights up a little bit, or the shadows up, or make it a little bit more dramatic that way. I'm getting a little bit there. So all right. So before, after, before, after. So this is a cool little trick just to boost some of those highlights and bring down some of those shadows. I also do a couple other color adjustments that will help with that as well. Obviously, one of them's the luminosity that I always use. That helps out a lot. We can add that now. So I'm going to go to luminosity. I'm going to click L3, see how many highlights that gives me. And again, so white reveals, black conceals. I'll go to my curves layer for this adjustment. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull that up just a bit. And that helps it pop quite a bit as well. Now, the other thing we have going on in this photo is that our background doesn't extend as far. I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. I might just put some shadows back there, cut out these cameras. I could extend this over to the left and right. Typically what I do is I'll turn off all these layers. I have my background layer, and I'll go select subject. And that'll load up. And this can be a very rough mask. This doesn't have to be perfect. And I take that on my frequency separation layers, and I add that mask. And what this allows me to do is now I can go underneath into the backgrounds. And as long as I don't go too crazy, I could start adjusting my backgrounds without affecting my subject. You need to be careful with this, because again, if you go too extreme, you'll have to clean up that mask quite a bit. And the idea is just to keep it very, very subtle, treat it just a little bit different from the foreground. And this gives me the opportunity to also go in and color correct my background so that it's not affecting the foreground. The skin tones, which can start to kind of take on a weird look if you get too crazy. All right, so I'm going to hold off on the background just yet. But let me go in and I'm going to add some magic eyes, make the eyes pop a little bit. And again, we're going for that kind of painterly look. So we can go a little bit extreme on these at first and then dial them back. So 10% opacity. What I want to do is, here's the catch light. So I want to go across from the catch light, and I want that to kind of be the brightest spot, because that's going to help that pop a little bit. And then I'm going to bring that around here and highlight all of it. I also like to do the eyelids just a little bit to kind of give them that painted on look. I'm using the wrong tone. Hold on. We need to undo all of this. I just made a mistake, guys. Get rid of all that. All right. So we have a clean, maybe not. All right, clean slate. Let's try that again. On this layer, you want a white brush because it's going to use those tones. So we want to go there. 10%. We're going to go right here in this corner, across from the catch light, make it a little bit brighter. Bring that in. Around here, give a little bit to the eyelids. Right here, like a little bit in there. Maybe 5%. We don't want to go too crazy on this spot here. Just want to boost it just a little bit. And then right above the eyelid, right in here, a little bit of a pop, and maybe right here. Just bringing those out just a bit. Great. Zoom out. That looks good. I'm going to go to the darken. I'm going to dodge this. So I'm going to change my brush to a black. I'm just going to go over the makeup just a little bit. And a little bit of contrast here. Right underneath here, we want a little bit of shadow just across here. I like to go in this spot here above the eyelid. Tone that in a little bit. Great. All right, same thing. Bring this down just a little bit. Thanks for watching, guys. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I will answer them all or show you. If you want to see something on here, let me know. Tell me what to do with this. I like to give a little bit of definition here too. I really like this part of the eye here to pop a little bit. In here, now we'll switch back to white, go to our highlights. Dodge, we'll give a little bit here, across from the catch light right here. Great. Right above the, right below the eyebrow, above the eye, right there, a little pop. And there we go. All right. So let's look at the, I always toggle these on and off. Check them back and forth. See if you like it. See if it's too much. You don't want to go too crazy on these, but with kind of the painterly look, it looks like my left eye or her right eye is a little bit darker than the right. So I need to go in and bring that out just a little bit more because you need them to match. All right. So we're going to go a little bit brighter on these. Here we go. I'm going to clean up the eyes just a little bit too on this. The retouch comes with a really good eye cleanup where it reduces the red in the eyes, makes them a little bit whiter. It's a great little plug-in for that. There we go. Boom, it's coming together. All right, now some dodge and burn work. I enjoy doing this. I know there's a million ways to do this automatically. The luminosity helps a lot with it too, but I enjoy this. Is actually like my calming meditation thing throughout the day is going through and dodging and burning. I just enjoy doing it, watching it pop and dialing it back and kind of fine tuning it a little bit. So here we go. And here, I like the way it hits the hair too. 25% opacity, hit it up here just a little bit more. Even out some of that lighting on her hair. Great. Look at the hair here. This looks awesome. I love the way the lighting hit this. So I'm just going to find the highlights on here and hit them a couple times with the dodge and really make them pop. A little bit of light coming right across here. Great. Great. All right. Now a little bit of dodge and burning on the face. I like to even out the catch light or the highlight on their face a little bit. So I'll do one stroke over the top like that, and then I'll tone it down a lot and just kind of work in this to make this a little bit more of a gradient across the top of the forehead here. All right, now I'll start to highlight some of this shadow to blend it in just a little bit more. All right. A little bit up here. I want to work on this a little bit. Seeing a little bit of tone issues up here, right in this little area. Sample some of this and just kind of smooth that out. All right, so let me work on. I'm gonna highlight some of this necklace here. I kind of like the way that looks. And then we also got this hand down here. We want to add a couple highlights to. I just do that. What just happened? All right, back that up. And the camera too. Why not? Right? Part of the photo, part of the focus. Great. All right, so the face is getting a little hot with this dodge and burn on there. We'll toggle it on and off. You'll see it's a little much. So now what we can do is just bring down the opacity just so it's where we want it, right? Just a little bit of those highlights. It's taking on that kind of painterly feel. There's some more of those highlights. Now, what you have to be careful about with these highlights, the curves adjustments with the luminosity, is there's things on here that are going to be distracting, and we don't want them to be more enhanced by your curves. So again, what we'll want to do is go into the mask and actually eliminate those because they're going to be bright enough anyway, since they're pure white on here, which means they're probably pure white on the or close to bright on the photo. So I'm going to get rid of all of this stuff down here. I don't want any of that. All right, let's go back here just like that. So we got a little bit more down at the bottom. Get rid of some of this because I don't want that desk to be super bright either. All right, now do we tackle the background? I think we have to. All right, so one of the things I could do is I could select part of this background. I can copy and paste it behind, bring it over here, and work on some blending. I can also clone this. That tends to be pretty messy, but let's extend this way, and we'll go this way just a little bit. And I'm going to blur all this anyway. I'm going to do a layer mask, and I'm going to blend this here. So now our background's extended with that, but again, we've got foreground items that we're going to have to cut around. So you can try to select these, or you could just go in. Since they're cameras, they have straight lines. If you use your brush tool and you hold down shift, let me show you what this looks like. Hold down shift, click here, hold down shift, and then click to the other spot just like that. And it will curve, or it'll go straight lines across those. Get rid of some of this because that doesn't need to be there either. All right, let's clean this up quite a bit. Now, the good thing is that this spot right here where it's actually blending, I can actually go in and just remove some of that, do 25%, and just kind of blend this a little bit more. The part that I have to keep real close eye on is where it goes off of the background. It's right here. So we want to get rid of some of that, cut this camera back out, and make sure it's not covering anything. Bring that back up to 100 and then clean it up a lot more. Now this is where people typically have a hard time with Photoshop. What you want to do is you need to make sure that your mask matches the blurriness of the out of focus, the depth of field of your background item, or of your background or the item that you're outlining. So if I went in and I had a hard line on this, it's going to look off because the object's out of focus, but the cutout of it isn't. So you need to make sure that you're going in and blurring that mask to match the same focus. Not bad. Now we're also going to make that side darker because I want to make sure that the attention still goes to the subject in the center. So I'm going to create a new curves layer. I'm going to make it darker. And then I'm going to use a mask and I'm going to feather it. So we're going to go here and I'm going to bring it straight across. And you can see where that's happening, but I want it even further and probably more like that. There we go. And we want to make sure it's not on the foreground objects. We're just mostly looking for the background.
That's me.
Oh, I was like, wait, phone's ringing. Sorry, guys. All right, we'll get rid of it. Some of it here. Great. So that background's extended. And now we got to do it to the right. So we're going to do the exact same method. I like doing this method because it allows me to it makes it so my background doesn't get blotchy. Doing a clone stamp, I'm going to get all these characters of my background and they're going to clone to another spot. And those characters aren't going to be unique. Those characteristics aren't going to be unique anymore. They're just going to be clones. So I like this method because it allows me to kind of move it over, make it a little bit bigger. You're not on camera. So,
Just weird.
you're just being weird for no reason. Sorry, guys. Caleb came by and was being weird in the background because he needed a plug. And he's not even on camera.
Plug for an outlet.
So now, yeah, he needed a plug for his new CD. All right.
Can't just say plug.
Yeah, an outlet plug. So same thing, blend this background a little bit. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to change the opacity of this layer so I can see my camera underneath. Go to 100% on my brush. And I'm going to work my way through this. And we want to make sure that this doesn't get too cut out. So I'll go back to white on that. Here we go. Good. And then turn the layer back to 100%. Look at your handiwork. It looks a little bit sharper than the actual photo. So I need to blur that quite a bit. So I'm going to go to my blur tool right here. And just go over that quite a bit. There you go. Now I need to do what I did on the other side where I actually made it darker. So I am going to Control J. I'm going to create a new layer of my darken tool, my darken layer here. I'm going to free transform and flip that and pull it all the way over. So now it's aligned on the right side as well. And I'm going to toggle that on and off to see what it is affecting. So it looks like I need to redo this mask over here because that was aligned for the other one. So we'll just take the brush, kind of go over it, get a little bit of the dark over here. I don't mind some of it on top of here because I don't want this to be as bright. We want to tone those down. All right, so there we go. Now, another thing we can do too, if we want to bring more attention to the center, we can do another curved layer, which we can then bring up the brightness. Invert this mask, Control I, take a gradient tool, bring it to the center with a radial gradient tool, and bring it out just a little bit, just like that. So a little bit of pop on the background, off, on, off, on, just like that. Perfect. All right. This is looking pretty good, guys. So before, after. Let me zoom in a little bit. Before, after. Before. It's coming along. All right. Now we got to color correct this thing. So I'm pretty happy with the retouch. I think it looks pretty good. It's a little bright on this side, but I kind of like that. On the previous one that I retouched, I actually went in, and I might do that on this as well. Except it was, so let me show you what I'm talking about. On the other one that I retouched, I added a little bit of a light right here, but it worked because it's off the screen. So you think the eye just thinks that there's a light right on the other side of this photo. And I think with this, it's not going to work because it's too much. Dude, if the light's all the way over here, it may or may not work. So, but I'm going to try it. So let's I'm going to do some light leaks. What if we went with, let me bring this over so I could show you guys. I got a whole folder of light leaks here. I like this one here. So I'm going to drag and drop that on top of here. We're going to bring that to the top layer. Change it to screen. Free transform so it fills the frame. Now this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't match anything. And the whites, because we did screen, it brings out all the highlights. Well, the dark tones on here are actually light as well. The way we fix that is we go screen. I'm going to flip this. So edit, free transform, or transform, flip vertically. It's going to bring the yellow to the top and then my little flare to the bottom. If you hit Control L on here, it's going to allow us to control the levels. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag this center one over to the right, and we're going to start to get, we're going to start darken those shadows, and the highlights are going to start to compress a little bit as well. If we want to bring the highlights up, just the highlights, we can bring them this way, and it really starts to kind of fall apart. But so just like that, we can then tone this down, which doesn't always work. But it kind of gives it a little bit of a fade. All right. So another thing that I did on that other one was I took an actual lens flare, one of these bad boys, and I dropped it in here. This is going to look hideous, by the way, but you'll see where I'm going with it. And this may or may not work with this. So I actually, on the other one, I had this here. And then again, we want to turn this layer to a screen. You also want to make sure that these layers are also underneath your color correction, because that's going to affect them as well. So I had that there. I'm going to free transform this a little bit. So we got a little bit of those lights there. That's a hideous lens flare. But what I did on the other one was I go blur gallery, field blur, and I crank this up quite a bit. Like that. And then wait 90 minutes for this thing to process and load and render out your lens blur or your field blur. Thanks for tuning in again. If you're on Instagram, give me a follow at Spectacle Photo. And if you guys have any questions, let me know. Say hi. The 3 people that are watching this, just say hi. Say something. Don't be a weirdo just creeping in the background watching my stuff. Give me a thumbs up. Or not. All right. Oh, I lost someone. I guess I made him feel bad. All right. So now that that's popped in there, I think I'm going to eliminate this one, this over the whole overlay one. We'll kind of go with something like this. I don't mind that at all. It's kind of cool. I'm going to tone it down quite a bit. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. I like that. All right. Now I want to put, I want to mess around with the tones a little bit more. I usually like to put this black and white layer. You have to be a little bit careful with this. This allows you to adjust each of the color channels a little bit, but you can't go crazy on this because the skin really starts to fall apart. You start to get a lot of distortion in the background and artifacting. So I just kind of play around with them a little bit. And then what we do is we change that to luminosity. And that's a little much because she's getting a little bit too muddy in there. Something like that. And then I'll go color balance here, and I'll try to bring in a little bit of, so her skin tone doesn't turn green or too red. Just like that. I might just get rid of this. What do you guys think? Should I keep that flare or get rid of it? Keep it or get rid of it? The fate of this lens flare is in your hands. This is a choose your own adventure for one of my photos. On or off? What's it going to be? All right. Let me know. I'll turn it on and off. I'll keep it there before I delete it. All right. So on and off with our black and white. I like the way that looks. On and off with my curves here. They look pretty good. It goes from a little flat to very poppy and dynamic. I'm just working my way through these. There's a gradient map. Very subtle change. Color balance. We got our dodge and burn. And I do this with almost every single layer just to make sure that I like it and it's not throwing me off. All right. Now what I want to do is to round it out, I'm going to go into the infinite color panel and I'm going to cycle through some of these color corrections and different treatments and see if there's any of them that stand out for me. Sometimes I use this, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'll bring it in and just kind of dial it down. I actually like the way that last one kind of looked. It was a little bit over the top, but what we can do with that is maybe let's go into luminosity. I want to select the shadows. Just my shadows. Like that. And I'm going to hit select. And then I'm going to go back to the infinite color panel layer that was created, the folder here. And I'm going to hit the mask on that. And it's going to take it away from everywhere but my shadows. That's kind of cool. So black conceals, white reveals. I'm going to tone it down just a little bit and name this Infinite Color Panel 1, just like that. And then I'm going to cycle through a couple more because there was a... Ooh, too dark. Too green. All right, I'm going to do 2 more, and then I'm just going to go with what I had. What if we tone this one down? All right, let's see a before and after, guys. Before, after. Just a little green. Got to get rid of that last color correction. Not a big fan. Like this one. Maybe I'll do my own. Let's go to color lookup. I loaded a bunch of LUTs into here. Let's see. There's some great ones in here too, but right now you're just messing around. You're just trying to figure out what's a good look. What's out there? That one's kind of eerie. None of these are doing anything for me, so this one might be kind of cool on a lower opacity. Nah, it's making my shadows too dark. Now, if we wanted to add a little bit of a fade to this, we'll go to a curves layer up here. We go to this far left-hand corner, and we just kind of bring that up a little bit. That gives us a little bit of a fade and brings up those shadows just a tiny bit. All right, so the only thing to do now is to sharpen this image. So I'm going to go to the Retouch Academy panel. I'm going to hit the sharpen tool. And it's going to go through and sharpen this out for me. Now there's this cool plugin that I've been working with in here from what was it called? Composite Nation. This plugin's awesome. Let me show you what it does now that we've got this done. First, what I want to do is save this. I want to make sure we save it as a JPEG as well as a PSD, because sometimes I like to go back in and fix things that pop up when I upload these on social media. I may notice something. So you want to make sure you save that stuff. So we're going to save it out as a JPEG. And then I'm going to save it as a PSD. All right. So while that's saving in the background, I'll show you what this plugin does. So let's make this necklace glow. So I'm going to select the necklace. My quick select tool here. I'm going to have to clean this up quite a bit. Well, it might be easier just to draw this. Ooh, look at that little abrasion there. All right. So I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to go with a white brush. At 100%. Let me bring this all the way up to the top. Bear with me. This is going to be totally worth it. Color this in. I want to make sure that I don't get the hair. Bring it around here. I'm doing this with a Wacom tablet, a Wacom tablet. Wacom or Wacom? What do you guys think? It's one of those things they should, which they probably do. I'm totally making this up, but they should have it on their website, what they actually call it. They may very well have that on their website. I'd never looked into it on how to pronounce their name. I like Wacom. I think Wacom sounds like Fonzie when he makes a joke. Like waka waka waka. All right. Almost there. I promise you this is going to be worth it. Totally worth it. I'm probably not going to keep this on the final photo, but I want to show you what this plugin does. All right. So we've got that there. I'm going to tone this down quite a bit because I want this to pop like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this plugin. I'm going to hit generate. And it's going to open up and do its little magic. What this plugin does is it creates very amazing glow, and it looks real. It looks like a light. It's taken a moment because of the it's also saving in the background. All right. Now what I want to do is I'm going to go to mask. I'm going to go to X-ray. And this is what it's highlighting. So I only wanted to highlight necklace. So I'm going to update the mask. It's going to say okay. And then I'm going to bring my exposure up. I'm going to keep bringing my exposure up. And radius. Kind of cool, huh? That was a lot of work for that effect because of how it looked, but you could see how this could be a really cool plugin. You can also colorize it, and this will allow me to add different tones to it. Look at that. It's pretty awesome. All right, so if we wanted to look more real-ish, we'll tone that down a little bit. Maybe not that much. And this is what's really cool. So let's say we went with like a gold, right? And we apply this. Now what it's going to do is it's actually going to create a layer with that glow as a smart object and a mask. Almost there. Hey, Caleb, are you on the live feed?
No.
Can you go to it?
What am I doing?
Just go to it and I want to make sure that it didn't do what I think it did. All right. My computer's like, hey, what are you doing?
It's on like a loading bar.
All right. Can you hear me on there?
Yeah.
Even when it's just full screen? So there you have it. That's that.
I can hear you
Okay, cool. Remember when it used to cut the audio out when the video was down?
I don't remember.
I used to do that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, that sounds like something it would do. All right, so where I've been using this is I don't know if you guys have seen on my feed on Instagram, but the glowing objects in the background. I like doing, I mean, like check this out. If we did, I've seen some of these, paintings where they've kind of have like a halo behind them. So we can create like a shape object here. We're going to go, let's go like 34, give this kind of like a Renaissance painting look. All right, and I want to bring that above these layers, just like that. Maybe a little bit thicker like that. All right, now I'm going to go back into that plugin. I want to show you guys this. A lot of loading tonight. But this is a lot of layers. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Probably 15 to 18 layers. Look how cool that looks. All right. So X-ray. I'm going to go to mask. And I'm only going to select this ring. Doesn't have to be neat. Just like that. Update mask. That's pretty cool. Do I want to colorize it? What do you think? Colorize or no? Want it blue? Nah, I say no. No colorization. Bring the radius up. Now, what's cool about this effect is that I actually photographed it where this actually makes sense. Besides the light down here on her arm, the catch lights here actually are justified with this photo. Make sure we're not getting that. I'm going to hit apply because I want to try some other things, and I might actually save it like this. I actually like the way this looks. Even though I think this halo thing is getting a little played out. But who knows? Who knows? I can have a couple of them, right? We can do a couple trends. It's pretty cool, guys. All right. What I want to try is I want to try to fade it up from her shoulders and see how that looks. So we'll take a mask. I'll do a gradient mask. And I just want to bring it up like that. And I'm going to duplicate that mask by control clicking that layer. I'm going to delete the mask on the glow. And I'm going to hit it. I don't like that. That's interesting. This thing needs to stop. There we go. Let's try that. There. And then the actual ring. Go to the mask. That's pretty interesting. Huh. I don't know if I want to save this, but I also don't know if I want to delete it. Fine. I'll save it and I will name it Halo. Do you know what'd be cooler with this? Hold on. This it'd be cooler if it went to like points here, right? If I can do that. So that's that. Oh, I think I know how to do this. Hold on, guys. Let's figure this out. I'm going to duplicate that layer. I'm going to delete this mask. I am going to rasterize this layer. That was a weird way to do it. I'm going to change this to difference. And then I'm going to free transform it. I just want it to go on the inside. I don't think we need the free transform. I actually think we need to just pull this. Nope, that's not going to give us that effect either. Figure this out. That's closer. Oh. That might work. Hold on. Now I want to select it and I want to go into this and I want to turn that black. So I'm going to turn off that layer. I may have just ruined this. Nope. Didn't work. But I still kind of like that. All right. So I'm going to save this with the halo. And that is all I got for tonight. There we go. That is it for this late night live edit. I hope you guys learned something. Very quiet tonight, but I'm gonna try to do this once a week. So subscribe and you will get notifications when I go live. I'm gonna try to schedule them so that you guys get notifications when I go live. I just kind of hopped on here. I had a photo shoot right before this and had to head back to the studio, and I was like, tonight's a good night for a late night live edit. So anyway, have a good night, and I'll see you later.